Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight, as our special guest, we have Trevor Strnad, vocalist of the Black Dahlia Murder. Welcome back to the show, Trevor.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Trevor, give people a little history behind the band and tell us what your current lineup is.
We are just about to unfurl our 8th album now. We've been around since 2001. And the current lineup is myself on vocals, Brian Eschbach on guitar. He's the other original member from 2001. Then we have Mr. Max Lavelle on bass, Alan Cassidy on the drums, and the newest addition is our baby boy, Brandon Ellis on lead guitar, and he's the new guy for this album.
And so the Black Dahlia Murder, celebrating the 10th anniversary of your breakthrough album, Nocturnal, and you guys were the headliners of this year's Summer Slaughter Tour, where you guys played the whole album in its entirety, right?
Yeah, we played the whole record, a new song from the upcoming record, and one more for the kids. But yeah, it was really fun, man. There was it's definitely seems to be the most celebrated of our albums. You know, it was pretty obvious that was the one that the fans wanted to hear the most. And, we felt like Abysmal had kind of run its course as far as, the album. It was at the end of the 2-year cycle, and we got this opportunity. And, 10 years later, back on Summer Slaughter, it just seemed natural, so... It was cool to give the fans what they wanted, and I think a lot of people were really excited to hear some of those songs live that they thought they never would,
And today we're here to talk about your new album coming out next month, October 6th, on Metal Blade Records, called Nightbringers. So, Trevor, this is the first album to feature your new guy there. Brandon is his name. Now, in the lineup, so what did Brandon bring to the writing process of this album?
He brought a lot of positive energy. We didn't really expect that he was going to jump right in and start writing songs for the band, but he definitely took the reins, and he ended up writing 4 tracks for the album out of 9. He's just an incredible player. He has to be the most educated musician that's ever come through our camp, and he just turned 25. So I mean, he's wise beyond his years, and he definitely brought a lot of amazing style to the album, and I think that it'll be very obvious that we have new blood in the band, and that he's bringing a lot to the table once the more songs get out there,
And then how did you guys approach this album musically?
I think in the last while, with the last few albums, we've been trying to expand our sound to have a bit more variety throughout an album, playing with different tempos, different feels, different rhythmic ideas, and this is really just taking that to the next level. I think that every song on this record is super strong on its own. I think they have a really individual identity, which is what we've been striving for. Because when you're a fast band, you got to put a lot of attention into the details to make an album that people want to listen to all the way through, or it just becomes static, So you have to really think about the dynamics and the minutia, and I think that's what we've been headed towards with these last few records, and this is like the ultimate culmination of all that. I think the songs are really strong, I think this is definitely the best thing we've done so far.
Of course, all our drummer friends are looking forward to hearing what Alan has in store for us on this album as well. Where did you guys record it, and how did that whole process go for you guys?
We recorded a lot of it here in Michigan. As we have with the last few records, we've been having people come to us to track us instead of, putting everyone up in another state or something. So it's a little bit cheaper of an option, a little bit more comfortable for us that live here in the state. So we had Ryan Lee Williams, a.k.a. Bart. He's our old bass player. He's still super involved in the band, and he oversaw the recording of the drums and the rhythm guitars and the bass. So he tracked all of that stuff for us, which was awesome, because we know Bart very well. He knows what we want in the studio. I mean, that's why we kept him around and kept this relationship going, beyond his tenure with the band. Then we had the solos Brandon recorded those at home by himself, which was cool. Definitely saved us a couple bucks there. And I recorded my vocals with Joe Sincata of Full Force Studios. He's a friend of the band's. We last ran into him when we were on tour with Napalm Death. He was out mixing them, and that's where I kind of came up with the idea. So he came here, and I did my vocals in my closet, which is recommended, definitely. Doing vocals is kind of a weird thing. It's kind of a shy thing to do in front of a bunch of people for the first time. So if you can just have one person there and have them in your room, in your house, and it doesn't really get more comfortable than that, And then ultimately, once we had everything tracked, we sent it all to Denmark to be mixed and mastered by Jacob Hansen, who he's done a lot of prominent melodic records. And, us being largely a Scandinavian-influenced band, it seemed natural to get some European hands on this thing. And I think that it's really come out nicely for it. So I think it was a good move.
So the name of the album is Nightbringer. So how did you guys come up with that name, Trevor? How does it pertain to this album?
It really pertains to like an overarching theme of the whole band, of the whole that we've been like continuing throughout this whole thing. So it's the idea that metal is told by the villain. That we're the villains of good, of tradition, of religion, and it's embracing that villainism, and definitely, and it's to me that's just how death metal is. It's always you're always staring over the shoulder of a killer, or you're riding with the devil. Basically, it's always been that kind of music for me. So, it's the idea is rejecting religion and finding inner strength, from person to person, and but yeah, like I said, it's an ongoing theme of vampirism and being creatures of the night. Definitely tried and true Black Dahlia stuff.
And so how did you approach this album now lyrically? I mean, what are some of the subjects that you guys write about in this album?
It's definitely a fantastic record. It's definitely a macabre steeped album, like they always are, but I really tried to ramp up the monstrous kind of vibe of this one. And we have the third song, Matriarch. That'll be the next song that comes out to the public. That is about a young woman who wants to get pregnant, but she can't. And then she ends up stalking another girl who's pregnant and cutting her baby out for her own gain, obviously. And that one is influenced by some really happenings out there in the world, which is very scary. But telling of these times, I think. But it's the song itself was so cutthroat musically. I just thought, man, I have to honor this with some of the most heinous lyrics I can think of. And it was kind of cool to. I haven't spoken from a woman's perspective with my lyrics very much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it's cool, and it kind of turns death metal on its back, where it's so typically misogynistic. You know what I mean? So I think that's a really cool lyric. There's a song called "The Lonely Deceased." That's the last song on the album. It's about a guy that works at a morgue, and he waits till everyone's gone, then he sleeps with the corpses. But it's not because he's horny. It's more because he's lonely. He's a very sad person. He spoons with the corpses and stuff. It's he makes amore. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of there's some songs I even rewrote because I didn't feel like they were monstrous enough. I keep saying the word monstrous, but that's just kind of how I think of it. Mm-hmm. Like each song being kind of a tale from the crypt or some kind of a horror-fueled 3-minute comic strip. And I love the art form. I love the short story form and trying to have a plot that you can execute in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that. I enjoy writing for the band and trying to be a creep. I enjoy embodying that villainous character. So it's definitely fun for me, and it's fun that I don't know that I have a reputation. There's people that want to know what I'm going to write about. And people that so that's a huge honor. It's very flattering.
And so, Trevor, tell us a little bit now about the cover artist and what the cover depicts and how it ties in with the album itself.
Sure. The cover was handled by Christian Whalen, a.k.a. Necrolord, and he's the one that did our album Nocturnal, too. So, and, I'm always the guy in charge of the album art, something I take very seriously, and I definitely pride myself on trying to find, something cool that'll represent the album for 2 years and get people excited to hear the music, and, it's something I really enjoy. So, I always try to do a different artist and keep the fans kind of on their toes, anticipating what it'll be. And I thought that by going back to the first, it was the first painting that we've ever had on a cover. It was the first legitimate artwork we've ever had on a cover. So it was kind of like bringing it full circle 10 years later, And, Nocturnal, Nightbringers, definite, nighttime themes that are parallel there for sure. And it's supposed to be in the same environment as the Nocturnal world. It's supposed to be like ruins of the same castle, basically. So, in a way, it was doing something new, doing something old, and just seeing if the fans are paying attention. Just little bits of nods to little Easter eggs kind of in there, I guess, in a way. But it felt good to go back to Christian. His artwork has defined so many classic albums for our genre of melodic death metal and into melodic black metal too. You have your At the Gates and Dissection and Emperor and just so many classics that it felt right, definitely.
And now the album has not even been released yet, and you had the one song pre-release, and just from that one song, everybody went like berserk, I guess is the best word I can think of it. So, and even, Metal Blade had made a statement that this is the biggest pre-order in the history of Metal Blade, and your view counts on the one song that you had out were insane. So what do you attribute to this madness, Trevor?
I think it's a lot of different things kind of coming into different stars being aligned. I think it's Brandon coming into the fold and people getting a glimpse of his solo work and how incredible it is. I think it's the artwork. I think they like that. I think they like a little nostalgic nod to Nocturnal. I think the song itself is really strong, and they like the recording of it. So it's just so many different factors coming together. And also, this is the first time that our unofficial fan club has really been in full swing during an album cycle. They're called the Blasphemes. It's a page on Facebook, and they have like single-handedly created this like collecting culture for the band. Where like the heads of the page have an obscene amount of BDM merch. Like it's ridiculous. But we've always, tried to be. I've always tried to have cool merch and try to have a collectability about it, and paid extra special attention to the artwork and things like that. I really, as a fan, those are the kinds of things I like. So to see that the fan club has come into this insane fruition now here, and you can feel them banding together and see it in the charts and see it in the plays and see it in the pre-sales already. So I'm very thankful for this like culture that they're basically engendering, and it's definitely, I can attribute a lot of it to them and the excitement surrounding that. And basically it existed as about 500 people when it started, and I knew of it, but I never really checked it out. And then I became friends with like the heads of it, Kyle and Jarrell and a few others, and I started to advertise it myself on the Facebook, and it's grown like astronomically. It's gone. I think there's like 10,000 plus people, and I can't really hang out there too much. They're so crazy for the band that it's a little bit scary at times.
And you were talking about merchandise. You guys had like packages with beef jerky and pipes, and that stuff all sold out like fast, like within a day. And this album's not even coming out for like another month. Is this all just kind of like crazy for you?
It really is. It feels like a very special time. I found myself getting a little emotional even just kind of taking it all in. Like the the praise from the internet for the new song seems to be like unanimously good, and yeah, this is just, I don't know, this is what we're hoping for, you know. Where I always want more. I feel like there hasn't been a glass ceiling on this thing yet, and we've been able to grow it with every album, and this is looking like an astronomical leap in the right direction. So it's very, very exciting to, you know, to have this just so much excitement surrounding the album after all this time, you know, to be here all this time and just still not only be relevant, but, you know, taking it to new plateaus and things. So it's amazing. It's like my dream. It hasn't died, or, you know, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and I feel like, you know, me and Brian, the original members, we're sticking with our original mission statement. You know, we have to honor the opportunity we've been afforded and just take this to the utmost extreme and play as much as we can and do the best that we can, and yeah, it feels amazing. I don't know what else to say. It's absolutely incredible.
Well, it was really crazy when the new video went up on YouTube, and YouTube is like unmerciful when it comes to, you know, bands that have any little member change in there, and there was like, everybody embraced Brandon, you know. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Whether he's the most fantastic thing or not, somebody's got some shit to say. But it was just amazing to me from that whole, you know, YouTube culture.
Oh, for sure. It's very scary to change members as a high profile.
Right.
You know, like, it's not something that we readily announce because we don't want to just encourage so much backlash. So we kind of just introduced him to the fold very quietly and took him out on tour, you know. But to see how he's being embraced, and there's so much excitement from just that one solo and one song, it's so huge, you know. And he, like I said, he put such a stamp on this album, and people have no idea yet. They haven't even heard the songs that he's written yet. So I mean, we're on the verge of something really big here, it feels like, and he's been such an instrumental part of it, you know. So it just feels like all the stars are aligned right now for this.
So, Trevor, did you try the jerky?
No, I haven't, but it boasts that it's quite hot. So I don't know if that's really in my wheelhouse anyway. But I'll give it a try. You know, I don't get too spicy in my life. I'm keeping it pretty vanilla in that regard.
So you guys have another tour coming up. So tell us a little bit about that and what fans can expect to hear.
We have, yes, the Nightbringers U.S. tour is coming up starting October 6th, the day the album drops. We will be with Legends Suffocation. We will have Decrepit Birth on the heels of their brand new album. We'll have Necrot. We'll have Exhumed on a handful of dates, too. And, yeah, the lineup is awesome, man. It's something I'm very proud of. It's going to be a killer show all around, and we'll be playing some new songs, of course. We'll probably be playing the 3 songs that will precede the album. So it'll be Nightbringers, then Matriarch, which is coming next, that we spoke about, and Kings of the Night World will be the last song. So we'll be playing those 3 at least, and, you know, a best of, you know, the usuals, some BDM classics in there, you know, hopefully a good mix that'll satisfy the fans. And we'll be playing about an hour and 15 minutes, so way too damn long, way too many songs, you know.
But that's what people are going to see. And Trevor, what are the best places for people to pick up whatever scraps of merch is left and to learn more about the band?
Definitely, you want to go to Indie Merch. There's still a lot of good pre-order options out there. There's still some cool vinyl, some cool variants. So definitely hit up Indie Merch. You can find your way there from our Facebook. But if you want to communicate with us, the Facebook is probably the most direct outlet. You know, I'm always on the other end of that thing, and the kids seem to really get a kick out of that. You know, it's really a small thing to do from my perspective. You know, to be available to the fans, but it seems to go a long way. So I recommend hanging out by the Facebook. Also, I mentioned the Blasphemes page. You can find that on Facebook, and those guys are crazy. I would definitely recommend that if you want to take your BDM, you know, stalkerness to the entire new level.
Well, there you guys go. The Black Dahlia Murder has a new album releasing next month on Metal Blade Records called Nightbringer. And Trevor, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight, and all the best with the new album and the tour.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun, and thanks so much for the kind words, and I really appreciate the press. Thank you.